Just hours ago, a 38-year-old man was arraigned in court on charges including attempted homicide and terrorism for allegedly forcibly entering Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's home and setting it on fire just hours after Shapiro and his family hosted Passover Seder. No one was injured, but the governor's mansion suffered significant damage. Yesterday, Governor Shapiro spoke out against political violence.
This type of violence is not okay. This kind of violence is becoming far too common in our society. And I don't give a damn if it's coming from one particular side or the other, directed at one particular party or another, or one particular person or another. It is not okay. And it has to stop. We have to be better than this.
My panel is back with me, Sabrina Singh, April Ryan, and George Conway. George, this is from the affidavit. NBC News has some details from it. It reads, the criminal affidavit filed Monday morning states the Balmer, which is the gentleman in question, added he would have beaten Shapiro with a hammer if confronted. Balmer admitted to harboring hatred towards Governor Shapiro. The affidavit states without any additional detail. I should note the judge denied this man bail and recommended imprisonment for the safety of himself and the community. If you want to combat, then we don't know. We have to let the investigation play out. But obviously, the Passover Seder happened earlier that evening, and then hours later, this man attempted to enter the governor's home and set fire to it. We don't know if he had motivations that had to do with the fact that the governor was Jewish, but an investigation will vet that out. But what we do know is this is a long line and a string of political attacks. And I remember very vividly when President Trump was the attempted shooting against him, and all the Democrats and the Republicans spoke out, and you had a Democrat spin it over backwards and say, we have to take the temperature down, we have to bring the temperature down, when they weren't even the people that ratcheted the temperature up.
Right.
The people that ratcheted the temperature up, the folks that should have been the loudest here, in my opinion, it should have been coming from the Oval Office. But today, all Donald Trump had to say, and I'm going to paraphrase here, the attacker wasn't a fan of Trump. I understand from what I read and from what I've been told, said the president, the attacker basically wasn't a fan of anybody. He probably just a whack job. And certainly a thing like that cannot be allowed to happen.
Me, 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 me. That's what Donald Trump is all about. Me. Those are his pronouns. Me, me, me. Oh. And, he doesn't, the thing that he noticed, though, he didn't say, this is the guy I want to send to El Salvador. Okay? To him, it doesn't matter because it didn't happen to him. Okay? And it doesn't score him political points. He's concerned about whether or not people are going to blame him. He's not concerned about the problem, which Josh Shapiro is concerned about, which, as Josh Shapiro points out, goes both ways. But Donald Trump doesn't actually care about that, doesn't care about anybody else's well-being, and that's why you got that reaction.
What do you want to say? Because I just can't.
Well, I mean,
I can't. Between the people throwing Montel cocktails at the Tesla dealership, like there are people who are mothers and fathers and people's brothers and sisters who work at the Tesla dealerships. Just don't buy a damn Tesla.
I completely agree. I think what is so horrific here is that there are kids. His family was in that home. Mm-hmm. And to your point about the Tesla dealerships, these are people just going to work. They are just going to work to make a living for themselves, to provide for their families. So you don't want to buy a Tesla, don't buy a Tesla. You don't support the governor, don't vote for him. But this type of violence that we're seeing, and I think what Josh Shapiro was really getting at is it is, just continuing on both sides, and that really does need to stop. You can protest, you can make your voice heard. This country allows, right now, for free speech. We can voice that. You can take in protest peacefully, but doing something like this should be condemned on every single side of the aisle. And frankly, from the person that has the biggest megaphone and the point of power, say something in the Oval Office and say, we don't agree on everything, but I stand with Governor Shapiro.
April, go right ahead.
And the person who now has a portrait in the White House, in the Cross Hall, with a picture of when he was fighting back, when the bullet went across his ear during a campaign speech, you would think he would understand and say exactly that, supporting Josh Shapiro in that moment. But the bigger issue of this, in piggybacking off of what everyone says, the fear of copycats, let's just put it there. Because once you see something like this, that someone got at least that close, police, law enforcement in every state, looking at every governor's office, even looking at the White House and Capitol Hill, they are watching this because this sends a signal to those who are not stable emotionally or mentally. This is a time that the President of the United States needs to come out. It's not about party, it's about people. And this is a time when the President of the United States, I was shocked that he did not use that time in the Oval Office when asked that question towards the end of that press conference in the Oval Office to condemn that.
Well,
as someone who was a subject
I'm not shocked because he's a man with no empathy.
I have covered 5 presidents. I am shocked still. There's still something called humanity.
He
well,
doesn't have that.
Someone who was actually shot himself, you would think that there was humanity in that moment.